So I just saw A Kid Named Finger in theaters and it was really good and I think it's very underrated, so I'm going to talk about it now in a video called A Man Called Otto is really good. I actually added timestamps this time, by the way, so you can check that out now, so that's pretty cool. Alright, that's basically it. Let's go. So I'm going to get into spoilers right away since I'm too lazy to actually talk about the film without diving straight into spoilers. So this movie's about Otto himself, but what I want to cover here is how the movie balanced being scary and wholesome. Every part with Otto trying to take his own life are all horrific, terrible parts in the movie, but I think they did a good job. It's a very effective way of shocking the audience. Going into this movie without that context was really shocking for me, and it was quite effective. But despite that, 70% of it is still really wholesome, with a grumpy old dude slowly becoming a nicer guy when a family he doesn't know moves next door to his house. I think they do a very effective job at showing Otto's extreme depression, while also having these really fun and wholesome moments with him bonding with the family. However, I do think sometimes they go a little bit far with the parts of him trying to take his own life, since it gets really repetitive and less effective after he tries to take his life 4 times. They just do it over and over again, and I get a little sick of seeing it happen so many times. But other than that, I think they did a really good job at balancing these two crucial elements. Now, of course, there's nothing really funny about the movie whenever it comes to the serious parts. For some reason, the theater audience I was with were really messed up, because for some reason, people were laughing at the parts where Otto tries to take his own life, which is like, yeah, humanity's dying. Anyway, as you would probably expect going into this movie, it's very, very funny whenever it's during the wholesome moments. I really like the child actors. They do a really good job at showing how innocent they are, and Otto delivers some really funny lines.
Hey, sir.
You know, the other guys don't do this, the guys with the white trucks. How come it's always you brown guys?
I think one of the funniest parts of the movie are also the little side characters that live in town. Characters like this guy that walk down the street and always try to strike up a conversation with Otto every single time he sees him.
Hey, Otto! No.
It's really funny, especially when they start making him more important later in the movie. I personally find it hilarious to think that Richard has the same backstory as Hector and he's just some giant kingpin who's killed tons of people. I also think the 2 wacky neighbors he has is also really funny, and they also have some really good lines and jokes. I think the part where Otto bonds with the mother, the neighbor, where he teaches her how to drive is really funny, and it's also really sweet, with Otto standing up for her when getting yelled at in traffic. A bigger issue that I will get to later in the video is the social media part of the movie. All the jokes they try to tell with it fall completely flat for me, but that is something I will bring up later. Tom Hanks is really good as Otto in this movie. After the absolute failure that was the Disney Pinocchio live action remake, I thought he was a terrible actor because of the fact that I haven't seen him in many films, and I personally didn't think he stood out to me much in those films, the ones that I did see that Tom Hanks was in. But he is really, and I mean really good as Otto in this film. He plays every joke very well, and all the serious moments he also plays very well, with an aura of tragedy surrounding them. I really like him in this movie. He's really funny, sad, and heartwarming all at the same time. I also think the dad, Otto's neighbor, is really good, but he isn't in much of the movie, and he's kind of sidelined, but I think he was a really good character as someone who doesn't know much about engineering, and Otto has to put up with him. Now, on the other hand, Marisa, the mother, or Otto's other neighbor, is absolutely fantastic as their role. I'm not sure if she's an upcoming actor or if she's had history with tons of acting, but I really want to see her in more movies because she was incredible in this movie, especially for the ending where she shows so much grief, and that's just fantastic. I love all their moments with Otto too, like as I said, the car scene, and when they talk about Otto's dead wife. Amazing actor. I wouldn't say she carries the movie, but she almost kind of saved all the parts of the film that could be boring. There is one part of the movie that doesn't really make sense to me, which is when Otto leaves her behind because there's no clear motivation for her to be so devastated when they knew each other for 2 weeks and her house is literally right across the street, but like, that's the script's fault. The biggest issue of this movie that really drags it down for me are all the parts with social media. For some reason, Hollywood films have this need to have social media or pop culture references in a movie that definitely didn't need them. They are so bad in this film, they're obnoxious and annoying, and it drags the film down so much for me. Luckily, they don't show up much, but I'll list all the times they do show up and if they're appropriate in that scene or not. The first time I believe it becomes important is Otto's 3rd attempt at his life. While waiting at the train station, a man next to him falls over from an illness he has and falls onto the tracks while a train is showing up. Otto gets down to save the man's life, but once he does, he considers staying down there to end his life. So imagine this great part of the movie, but then in the middle of it, everyone in the crowd starts freaking out and begins making videos and saying all these stupid, annoying, stereotypical social media influencer things about what's going on when a man is literally about to get murdered by a train. It ruins the entire scene for me, and I really hate it. Now, the next time we see it, it's not as offensive to me, but it's still pretty bad. While Otto is doing something in the garage, I forgot what happened here. It was a flashback that I don't care about too much. He hears a knock at the garage door, and it's a quote-unquote social media journalist or something. I can't really remember again because this part of the movie was kind of forgettable. She tells Otto that saving that guy's life made him viral or on TikTok or something. Anyway, it's still a cringe-worthy part of the movie, but this random girl ends up becoming important to the story, and it really makes me mad because it's completely pointless. Now, throughout this movie, a common villain has been these jerk real estate agents who are selling all the buildings in the neighborhood, and at the end of the movie they all line up to take one of the side characters' house, and Otto stops them. But then for no reason, the random social media influencer girl shows up and records them being mean to Otto. It's like that one guy who he saved an hour ago. I don't know who she is. She's gone for an entire hour of the movie, and then she just shows up again. And they catch the real estate agents in 4K, and for some reason this is gonna stop the real estate agents or something, but they just leave and never come back again. It's literally a Darman video. Just kidding, I love you, Darman. I think the true ending of this movie is probably one of the best parts of the movie. Massive spoiler here, because this is the biggest part and most impactful part of the movie. But Otto has a condition that makes his heart really big, and it causes him to have troubles there. After getting rid of the real estate guys, him and his neighbors work together and raise the kids up. After 4 years, Otto suffers a heart attack and dies, leaving his will. It's a really fantastic ending, but unfortunately I just think there wasn't enough build up, and they actually had a fake out death with Otto before, which makes this less impactful. But nonetheless, it's a really good ending for a really good movie. Overall, I really like A Man Called Otto. It's definitely worth it to see in theaters now. It has its problems like the social media stuff, but it's really heartwarming and horrific at the same time. Also, I know this makes no sense and comes out of nowhere, but the younger version of Otto for real looks like Buzz Lightyear. I'm sorry, I can't get it out of my head. Okay, that's it. This is an epic outro. See ya later.